So
Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay, good. All right, looks like we're live here. Awesome. Welcome everybody to our virtual mentorship session this Tuesday. This is all about our patient compliance mastery, perfect for office managers, perfect for front desk CAs, perfect for practice owners, even doctors would get a lot and benefit a lot out of this. If you guys are just logging in, go ahead and turn your webcam on. Love to see you guys. Thanks, Allie. Hey, Allie. Good to see you. Awesome. What's up, Larnie? Hey, team. Good. Cynthia, what's up? What's up, Cindy? Chelsea and the crew is in the house. Awesome. Compass Medical, GJ. The teams are all here. This makes me so happy. I can't tell you guys whether it's the live stream workshops or it's these Zoom sessions. When I can see you guys, it makes for such a fun, dynamic atmosphere, even though we're just kind of communicating through the zeros and ones. You're all darked out there. I can't. Who's next to Alyssa? Oh, there you are. Awesome. Compass Medical crew in the house, guys. This is great. I freaking love seeing you guys, and I know it definitely helps. Dr. Rainey, Lake Winnipesaukee, good to have you here. Awesome. So we're at practices from all around the country today. The Northeast, South down here in Florida, all the way south is South Beach. We got California. We got even Washington here as well. Arizona, Nevada, Denver, Colorado, Grand Junction, the western slope of the Rockies are here as well. Yeah, all the way as far north as Canada and everywhere in between. Hey, Shamika, what's up? Go ahead and turn that webcam on as if you popped on with us here. Love to have you on board. We have veteran members of the Business Academy family on board. Many of you guys have been with us for a number of years, learning these principles and putting them into practice. And we have other members that are literally brand spanking new at the Business Academy, learning these systems for the very first time. So I'd love to not only hear from our guest speaker today, which is the Patient Compliance Mastery Queen, KWEEN. You guys know that's the queen of patient compliance and you know what it takes for patient commitment to get them through their care programs. That's Michaela Miller, Regional Manager for Family Chiropractic Center for Wellness, as well as contributing team member and partner in AIM Wellness, right? And what you guys are doing on the medical side, and then your practice owner, Dr. Brian Dahmer, has just bought another building right across the way from one of your main offices in Spring Hill. It's just a big shell, about 5,000 square feet, and we got to figure out what we're putting in there. All kinds of fun stuff. So you guys are expanding. I mean, it just seems like it was a few years ago, Michaela, when we were out in the parking lot of the Brooksville office near the Target where your office is at, and you were just like arms up in the air. I don't freaking know what to do with these people. This place is just out of control. I need help. And I'm like, we can help you. And just a couple years later, you guys hit personal records, highest ever, grew through COVID, opened up more practices. And here you are, having moved up the organizing board from CA to office manager, now managing multiple offices as a regional manager with office managers underneath you that you're mentoring, leading, and guiding and helping. All while you guys are expanding and growing, helping your community more. So thank you first off, Michaela. I know you're a very busy lady. Thank you for taking time today to hang out with us.
yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I think some of these things you've hit before. I'm gonna cover with you a number of things I'm seeing across different offices. Front desk staff are struggling with, office managers are struggling with when it comes to dialing in patient compliance. So what is patient compliance? It's patients complying and committing fully and following through with the doctor's recommended care program or the provider's treatment orders, whichever is appropriate for your office. And would you agree, Michaela? Because you have your hands dipped in both fields. You have strict chiropractic offices that you manage and oversee with your managers and your team and providers. And then you have the medical practice, which you're also overseeing, right? And those kind of overlap too. So you kind of have, your hands in both models. These were just some surveyed points I've gotten back just in general from our coaches, from our events, and from our Business Academy family and tribe, what they're running into in the journey to getting to a 90% plus appointment show rate percentage. Right now, some CAs on this and leaders on this webinar are getting like 85, 86, 90% show rates on those visits. Others are getting much lower. Others are struggling to pre-schedule. Maybe they're implementing this for the first time, but they're dealing with patients that never had to do this before. I know some are struggling with getting wellness patients to have a predictable schedule in the office. There's a number of things I'll go over today, and I want to really spend some time with you to open up the conversation to everybody here, right? Some of the things that they want to share, contribute, or that they're struggling with when it comes to just getting patient retention really dialed in and patient compliance as high as possible. So with that being said, let's just dive right into it, Michaela. Michaela, do you mind just kind of sharing? I love when you share your story to start off about where you kind of came from. You didn't pop out of the womb a regional manager managing multiple offices. You started and kind of grew up in this practice over a number of years. Where did you start? And then tell us about how your curiosity got the better of you and helped you excel in your role into where you are today.
Yeah, so I actually started as a patient. I was treating with Dr. Brian, and I'd been coming in for quite a few months. I was actually working for a pharmaceutical company that was maybe 10 minutes down the road. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with a career. I was in school for business management, but I had kind of taken a break. I didn't really know what my future looked like. I was 24. I don't know how many people at 24 know what their futures look like, but I went in for my appointment. They were hiring. Dr. Brian kind of put a bug in my ear, and I kind of did like a working interview while I was there. He had like the other staff come in and ask me questions to like get to know me. So I guess I passed that test. And then I actually started working at the front desk in our Hudson location, which is our oldest location. And from there, I just got curious about ways the office could run, more smoothly. I had the doctor that was at that office, he still is there. He's been with us for 13 years now. But he just really had like a full, I know we always say like we use a full body approach, but he had like a full body approach to the practice. And so he was constantly asking questions like, where are my patients? Where did they go? Who hasn't been in this week? Why aren't they scheduled, this many times a week for 6 weeks? And so I was like, no, you're right. These are valid questions to be asking. Like, why aren't they? So we had a structure in place, but it wasn't really like enforced. So from there, I kind of just took like little tidbits that I would get from like the owner or from different scenarios with patients, and I just ran with it when it came to getting patients to make their appointments and being compliant. So I love being at the front desk. I still love it. I'm actually filling in another office right now. And I love being at the front desk. I can be like the eyes and ears for everything. I know that what I do day in and day out makes or breaks our day. Like we can either have a very easy day that we see a lot of patients and we fulfill all their needs, or we're going to have a very chaotic day and see less patients, and we're going to go home and be more stressed and just aggravated with everything. So I know that it falls on the front desk, and that's why I'm very passionate about it, because you really can have such an impact on your business. You're the first person they see, you're the first person to answer the phone. So you get a head start at building a good relationship with your patients right off the bat. So I just really took that in and I valued it. And yeah, now here I am.
I love it. That's so good. I mean, at the end of the day, living and breathing what it is you're asking your patients to do is a big part of this. And starting off as a patient, I think is great. I'd like to share some best practices and successful actions before I start getting that you guys do with all your CAs and all your front desk staff that I think everyone can take note of here. I'm going to go through a rapid fire, and everyone watching can just do an audit on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being it's not implemented in your office, 10 being, every one of your CAs, every one of your front desk staff are doing this or have done this or are engaging in this. So number one, I think one thing that you guys have done a great job of is part of the onboarding process in your practice is every CA, every front desk has to learn how to do a chiropractic lay lecture. Mm-hmm. That's a big part of what you guys do. That's in the first 30 days, 60 days, couple weeks. They got to learn to do a chiropractic lay lecture. So can you just quickly, in a minute or less, Michaela, define what is meant by a chiropractic lay lecture? And then, why is that so important for your CAs to learn that before they can even be anywhere near successful at the front desk in your office?
Yeah, so a chiropractic lay lecture is basically if you had a random person come up to you on the street and asked you, what does your office do? What's chiropractic care? You're able to just spit that off in like under a minute. And you just really give them the gist of what we do. We correct the underlying issue, we correct subluxations, and it has all these health benefits. However you want to word it for your practice or for the person you're talking to, whatever's going to get your point across, we just really kind of harp on that because it does make a difference. We just actually had this conversation at our company training last week. And if our staff is talking about what we do as, oh, we just do chiropractic and we just adjust and you just come in and you just, we just come up with a treatment plan for you. It sounds like you're, I don't know, going to like the grocery store, like, oh, I'm just going grocery shopping. Like, no, you're going to buy food to feed your family and cook nutritious meals all week. So it's the same thing with what we do. It's very important. And you need to be able to relay that to your patients. So we definitely make sure that our staff understand that. And we also take them through an entire treatment plan. So once they've been with us for 90 days and they have some of the knowledge, it kind of creates that hunger for them that they're like, oh my God, I see the benefits of this. I see people coming in here in so much pain and they leave feeling so much better. I can't wait to change my own life by getting this treatment. So after 90 days, they're eligible for them and also their spouses and children to come in for free care. So we make sure like the whole family's involved, and that way too, like their family can get behind their commitment to us and to their career. So we really try to value that and make sure that that's a priority.
That's awesome. So number one there, chiropractic lay lecture. Number two, you also mentioned is getting every one of your CAs and front desk staff under care. So it's obviously a benefit in your office after 90 days,
Mhm.
but getting them under care is a big part of it. Question here is there a reason you guys wait 90 days until they're under care? Are they getting a day one, day two before that? Are they kind of diving into that ahead of the end of the probationary period at all, Michaela? Or is that just kind of when their benefit extends out to their spouses, family, that kind of stuff?
So they're always welcome to start care prior to the 90 days. It's just the free benefit of that kicks in after 90 days. So if they want to treat through their insurance, they want to self-pay before 90 days, that's totally fine. We have, I was on a treatment plan and actively paying as a patient when I worked there for the first 90 days because I was already on a treatment plan prior to being hired. So, and again, like it just kind of creates that hunger for them to want to know more about it. And then also to be excited when that 90 day mark comes, because, not only do they get PTO and time off and, eligible for all these other things, they're also eligible to now extend that benefit to their family and they no longer have to pay for it. Like that's part of our healthcare benefit to them.
That's awesome. I love it. Cool. So those were a couple key things. Another one is you guys don't talk about jobs. You guys talk about careers in your office. So your CA staff that are working for you and your front desk staff, they are not doing a 9-to-5 job. They understand that, and they have opportunities to build on that. So you talk a bit about why you guys use the word, why you talk about the word career, and how their careers are building within your practice. Meaning you've had CAs before that were CCPAs or CAs that then are now office managers now. Others have moved into different roles that are expanding more just what they have. Can you talk about the value and importance of that a little bit?
Yeah. So whenever we are interviewing someone, everyone always asks the question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And nobody really knows. And I didn't like the fact that I didn't know where I was going in life. And so when we hire someone, I want to make sure that it's abundantly clear to them that they can make this a career. We have the steps to get you there. I know what it took for me to get to where I'm at. So if I can give them those steps and that information and even like a faster track on how to get successful, then I'm more than happy to do that. You also have to find people who are motivated and hungry and want to do that. This, career is not for everyone, but the people that it is for, they just come into the practice and completely take off as soon as they're drinking the water, as they say. Once we get that commitment from, our staff, it's very similar to how you get the commitment from your patients. Once they're on board, and we'll do anything and everything to make sure that their career is successful and that they're getting what they want. They're paid well, they have time off, they have time with their family, they have a good work-life balance. So we really, and we like longevity because people and patients like coming in and seeing the same faces. We just had a girl leave and go on maternity leave, actually way sooner than we expected her to. But now we have patients coming in asking me, like, who are you? Like, what, where is that girl at? And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I've been here for 7 years, but I know I'm a new face and people don't like seeing that sometimes. So we definitely want the same faces in each office. It really does play a part in your patient compliance because you get to know each patient and you have that, relationship with them. So when you call them and you're like, hey, Mrs. Jones, where were you at today? She's like, oh my gosh, Michaela, I'm so sorry. Something came up with my husband. Let's get this rescheduled. And they already know the process because they trust you. But if I was, the new girl on the block, they're like, who's this person calling me this? She doesn't know my treatment plan and she doesn't know me. So having that consistency in staff is very important to us. And just like anyone else, we don't like turnover, but we do want people who are committed and motivated and want to make a career out of it because you can. I mean, we have over 10 staff that have been with us for more than 5 years, which I think that's pretty successful for most companies, considering we only have a staff of like 25. So I think that's really important. And making your employees feel valued will definitely help that.
That's great. I want to get into some of these, the body of the webinar today with some things we discussed and went over ahead of time. But I really have to ask, I know a lot of people are struggling with a lot of practice owners and managers that may be on this webinar today. I know there's a lot of CAs and front desk staff on this one too. But can you, before we go into the crux of this, can you explain just real quickly, Michaela, what as leadership in your practices, what do you guys do? Like you said, you want to make your team, you want to feel valued, right? So give me some examples of things you actively do to build a strong company culture for long-term staff retention. It's easy right now for people to make a buck here or a buck there somewhere else, right? But we're doing something special here. We're doing something special with the mission that we're on and what we're doing right now. And it's not just flipping burgers or working in retail. This is saving lives. Can you talk a bit about how you guys really tap into that mission, company culture, and what you do to make a great environment for all your staff to thrive?
Yeah, so we obviously have 90-day reviews, yearly reviews. We recently are implementing where we meet with each staff member, at least one staff member a week in your office, so that way we're staying on track with their goals and making sure that we're all still in alignment. We have monthly bonuses based on production. We have tons of benefits. And then we also just try to plan like company outings. So we have a really big Christmas party at the end of the year, which is always like over the top. We give out staff bonuses then. And even if, we had an employee last year who came to us and was like, it's always been a dream of mine to be a flight attendant. Do you want to know what our owner did? Our owner got on the phone and got in contact with any connection he had to try and make her dream come true for being a flight attendant. Yes. Did we lose a staff member? Absolutely. And it sucked. But her dream was to go be a flight attendant. So who are we to stop you from doing that? And if we have the resources, we're going to provide them to you. So, I know that's probably not the best example, but I just took that as like, wow, he really values every single person that walks in this door and will go above and beyond to make sure that they get what they want out of life. And that can be even someone coming to us, I want to buy a house next year. I need to make this much money so we can save this much and have this much of a down payment. Okay, great. Let's work backwards then. What are the steps that you can take to be more successful in your position and provide more value to the company so that way we can compensate you further? And those are just discussions you have to be comfortable having with your staff. Yes, they can be uncomfortable sometimes and people aren't always satisfied, but I think if you give them stepping stones and a path to follow so they can be successful, and once they've hit those, like, this is what you'll receive in return, I think that's very important. So we really just try to stay in alignment with our staff. We're constantly coming up with more creative ideas. Last year we gave away a trip to Disney, a 4-day stay in Tennessee at a cabin and a 1-week all-inclusive resort in, I think it was like Punta Cana or something like that.
Yeah.
Like you could pick from like 7 different places to go, but we gave that to the person who referred in the most patients that year. So it's like a raffle, you get a ticket, and we just try to make it fun and interactive.
So all your staff are referring patients into the office.
Yeah, every single person. You meet somebody at the gas station, hand them a card. You meet somebody at this grocery store, hand them a card. So, and it really did help, our numbers, but it also helped motivate people. And then other people who maybe were lacking in their chiropractic lay lecture, they got up to speed on that. So they then could refer patients in.
That is so
So
cool.
it really was just like a trifecta of good things.
That's awesome. One thing I'll just add to this too, for the CAs watching and the staff watching, right? They might go, okay, good. Well, I'm going to go to my doctor and say, where's our big trips to Punta Cana? Where's my cabin in Tennessee? Where's my trip to Disney, right? And what I would say to that, or where's my bonus or my this or my that, right? And the biggest value that you could give the practice to get closer to your financial goals, towards things that are going to make, you happier, is by asking, what can I do? What can I give? If there's one thing I've learned the most with Michaela and her doctor, Dr. Brian Dahmer, is that they come from a giver's gain philosophy. And that is a philosophy of like, if I'm gonna gain anything, I have to figure out how I'm going to give in abundance for that thing, right? And to give without any expectation of return. So how does that apply to you as a CA, as a front desk? Well, what are the parts of my job that are uncomfortable, that I have a bit of a back off on doing, but are important for patient success or practice growth? It's important for all of us to take a look at that. I have to look at that in my own job sometimes, in my own role with my own company. I'm sure Michaela has to as well. What are the things that I'm not making time for in my daily to-do list or my battle plan every day, that I'm not making time for, that could have the biggest impact on the growth of the office? Those are questions you can ask your office manager or your doctors. I'm sure they'll have a list of things you can improve on, right? What can I give in value, in higher value than what I'm giving now? And it doesn't just mean more work. It means the value of the results that I'm getting, in order to maybe or maybe not gain something in the future. And I think that's one way to look at it too, and that's what today's all about, is looking at different ways to improve in what you do as a CA, whether it's to understand your purpose more, to be more on purpose with being able to give a good chiropractic lay lecture and referring patients in, or handling patient objections at the front desk that's getting in the way of them staying committed to their program, getting patients through their program more efficiently and on time, and handling patient concerns more effectively. So these are all things we'll cover today, but I really want to make sure you ask yourself that it's not up to somebody else to get you what you want. The career path you have within chiropractic is endless on what it can provide you, as long as you're willing to grow personally and grow professionally. And that's, I think, why we're all here today. So, Michaela, these are really great points, and it gives me it's cool to hear it from you and to see what you guys are doing every single day. So I think I'm going to go ahead and dive right into it here with you on some questions, concerns, patient objections. I think we all can dial in for better patient compliance and retention. So as I start this, guys, if you can locate the chat box, I'm going to locate it right now too, because we already have some questions. Locate the chat box if you can, and as we go along today, I want you to write in objections that you're struggling with resolving with patients as to why they're not committing all the way through the end of their program. They're not being compliant. They're falling off the program. They're missing visits. They're late for their appointments. Anything you're struggling with regarding patient compliance, over-the-counter collections, etc. Dr. Schwartz, this Central Florida, so Spring Hill, Florida, Brooksville, Hudson, just about an hour and a half north of Tampa, so not too far from us. One quick question here before we move on, Michaela, and we'll dive right into this. Chelsea asks, did you do that per office, or was it company-wide, the games and the kind of giveaways you guys did for some of the rewards for the staff?
The big giveaways, like the trips, that was company-wide. Yeah, so we took all the raffle tickets and we put them in like this big gold, like lottery ticket type of thing, and spun it around. And then we had people come up and draw names. So it was completely random.
That's great. Awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love it. Good. Okay. So first thing I'll say is, one thing I'm seeing people struggling with is, let's just start with the monkey in the room, right? Like MUDs. MUDS, makeup days, right? For those that are hearing this for the first time, MUDS always stand for makeup days. If you've heard this before, you know what I'm going to go into right now. It's a struggle that I'm noticing as we're still work with practices. The struggle is in a few different areas. One is getting patients to make up the visits that they did already miss, right? So let's say you had a patient that was used to missing appointments and not making them up, and then now you're a front desk CA, you've been trained on the scripting, and now you're trying to implement that protocol with the patients so you can get them back on track with their program. And patients are pushing back, they don't have time, et cetera. So maybe the dialogue is a struggle there with handling concerns around makeup days. So that's the first point. The next point, Michaela, is around tracking it. How do we track this easily? Do we track it by each re-exam point? Whenever they each re-exam, we take a look at how many MUDs that patient has. Are we tracking it daily? Are we tracking it at the end of the program? What's a good, simple way that you guys track your MUDs at any given time so that you can stay on top of those with patients? And then thirdly, how do you utilize the providers to help with MUDs? Meaning it's, not just all on the front desk, but leaning for help with kind of like an authoritative tag from a provider, let's say, to help get that patient back on track. Best practices, successful actions, scripts in those arenas. So maybe we can start with the scripting on common concerns or objections around time with patients that have missed appointments and have MUDs to make up. What are some successful ways you guys have been able to handle that with your practices?
So I tell all my staff to insert themselves into these patients' lives. We have to find time for them almost. So for example, a patient comes in, says, I don't have time for my appointments. And my next question is, do you work? What's your schedule? So then if they work 7 to 4, okay, great. We're open till 6. I'll put you at 5:45. And if you get here sooner, great. If not, we're here till 6. If you're running late, we'll wait for you. Not a big deal, but then you can still at least make your appointments. And then, okay, great. We're open late Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 5:45, all 3 days. Here's your schedule. I'll see you Wednesday. So you just really insert yourselves in their lives because you are their provider. They should be following the treatment schedule. For other patients who say they work 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., because sometimes that is their schedule. If most of the time, if they're working 7 to 7, they have a scheduled day off during the week because of the way their schedule rotates. So if that's the case, at least get them to commit to that 1 day a week, obviously with approval from your provider to change their treatment plan. But if that's the only day they can come in, that's the only day they can come in. Some care is better than none. So that would be my suggestion on handling that.
Love it.
Go ahead.
Talk a bit about when I've seen you in action, for example, it's like you're not afraid to, when you say, insert yourself into their lives, right? You're their provider. You're not afraid to invade their privacy in a positive way, right? To help them. Can you talk on that a little bit and what kind of learning curve some CAs have to get comfortable with regarding, being willing to invade their privacy in a positive way or insert yourself into their lives?
Yeah, so it just really has to come from a place of concern and love. You really should love your patients and care about, their well-being and their treatment. Just the other day, I had a patient come in, and again, I'm getting my feet wet again, treating patients all day long because I'm covering for someone right now. And you sometimes forget about how broken people come in sometimes, not just physically, but mentally. And this woman just broke down in tears. And I kept, she was very alone. She felt she was in pain. She couldn't deal with it anymore. And as the conversation progressed, I realized that she probably needed to talk to someone that's a professional at this. I am not a therapist. I will hug you and I will cry it out with you, but I am by no means giving anybody, mental health advice on anything. And she explained, I can't afford it. My copays are too high, all these excuses. And I'm like, okay, well, are you religious? And she's like, yeah. And she told me what religion she was. And I called the local church to see if they had a women's support group, because I can't sit there and talk to you for an hour while I'm at work. We have tons of patients coming in, but you could probably go to this support group and find someone to talk to, even if it's not a therapist, at least you'll, feel like you have friends, you're around people, you're surrounded by people who care and are interested in what's going on in your life. And so you really sometimes do have to ask the tough questions. Not that she wasn't coming in for care because of those reasons, but figuring out how to approach that situation can be difficult for anyone. And I'm not saying I handled it right. That was just what I felt was the right thing to do in that moment. But when you are having to have those conversations, you need to make it apparent that it's coming from a place of, concern and love. And like Ethan has said before, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So if you haven't portrayed that, they're probably not going to open up to you. But the second that you do, they're probably just going to unload and tell you everything that's going on in their life. And then from there, you can figure out a schedule that works best for them.
That's great. I love it. That's perfect. Okay, good. So what about tracking MUDs, right? So whenever, a lot of times when I've been at an office, I ask, how do you know how many makeup days anybody I point to on the schedule has? Walk me through the process, step by step, click by click. And every time it takes time, right? And I say, how often do you do this? And they go, when I have time to do it. I check it and I go, oh, that's a lot of time doing all these clicks for 200 patients or 300 patients. And I know for a fact in those cases, if they're not actively tracking it or don't have a base camp to get to the patient to before they add them up, there's lots of makeup days to be had. So what's the protocol for tracking those makeup days in your practice in a way that keeps patients relatively compliant if they are falling behind or missing appointments?
So we use our re-exams as like our stopping point. And it has like a little box on the bottom that we fill out every time we do a re-exam on someone that tells us how many visits they've had, how many visits they were prescribed to them originally, and then what type of treatment plan they're on, like where they're at in that. Like it's a little box that says 1 time a week, 2 times a week, 3 times a week for a month, or whatever the treatment plan is. So very similar in ChiroTouch, where you see, for those of you that use ChiroTouch, you have that multi-phase scheduler. We kind of copied that box and put it on paper because oftentimes the doctors don't have every patient chart pulled up in the room. So it's easy for them to look at that paper and know what the next step is with the patient. And then if they need makeup days, we're going to know based on the day that they started and based on the day they should have finished and where they're at on their treatment plan, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
A lot of math, but we make it work.
That's great. I love it. So some offices choose to do it daily, others, throughout the plan. And what you guys do is at the re-exam is your base camp to have that number. Let's assume that number is high, right? And the front desk tries to schedule that in. What's the protocol to lean on the doctor for help if that number is higher than it should be, meaning the patient is getting up to that re-exam and they are, per their travel card or per their service tracker, their program, they are not ready for that re-exam because they're on visit 8 and, the re-exam's, in 2 days. Obviously there's 4 more visits before that re-exam. How do you lean on the doctor to help get that patient more compliant if you're a CA or CCPA or front desk?
So if we've exhausted all options over the phone with the patient or with them standing right in front of us, the doctor has prescribed you this many visits a week. You missed last week. Let's schedule a makeup day. They're like, no, I already have 2 on the schedule. It's fine. I'm like, okay. So I put a note to the provider on their next visit if he's not available, like right then. And then I'll have the doctor address it in the room with the patient. Once it gets past like 3, we have them step in. If we get a really pushy patient, even step on the first makeup day, I'll have the doctor come in and just readdress it with them. The doctor usually says the same thing that I just said, but the patients respect it more coming from the doctor and they typically follow that treatment plan.
So really you're setting in place standards, expectations, you're setting a culture of patient care with the patients as to, this is how we do it here. Because they might have experiences with a physical therapist or another chiropractic office, or they had frequent visits that they could just come in whenever they want, or they could miss some appointments and just keep it going. But in your office, we have a standard for how we get you through your program and hold you accountable to it and get you the results that you expect. And so you're saying if it gets to 3 or more, bring the provider in, definitely, get them to be an authoritative tag, or if it's just one mud or your first mud and the person starts to push back or is already going to be a bit of an issue in the beginning, that's where you would lean on your doctor to help out.
Right.
Makes sense. I love it. Perfect. And then if you guys want to, when it comes to muds, feel free to jump to the chat box and any objections you've gotten that you've struggled with muds from patients that you might want to get some counsel here from Michaela on scripts you could use some help with, things to say in response to those patients, any objections, concerns, problems that patients have that stop them from getting their muds in place. Compass Medical says here from Grand Junction, that's why accountability scripting is so important.
Mm-hmm.
So then my next question too is, what would you say to the CA or front desk if the valuable final product of the front desk is empowered patients who complete the doctor's recommended care program efficiently and on time, so they're kept on the treatment schedule, they're kept on their program, gotten all the way through efficiently and on time. If that's the valuable final product of the front desk, there's a lot to do at the front desk.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to the CA staff or the front desk staff, knowing that's their VFP and knowing their key statistic is show appointment percentage and patient visits and patient volume, that just don't have time to handle muds, don't have time to do recalls, don't have time to basically, do the dirty work to keep patients on the schedule and compliant? What do you say to that office manager, that front desk that struggles with finding time for that because they're busy with paperwork and drowning with other needs and fires?
I say, and I might get in trouble by Mindy for this later, but I say use your danger formula. Like, I love that formula, and here's why, is because it says reorganize your life. I love reorganizing everything all the time. Ask anybody. Like, I always want to find a better way to do something. So if your front desk is too overwhelmed and that's their excuse is I don't have time, okay, well, let's take a deeper look into what your time management looks like throughout the day. Do you really not have time, or are you taking too long of a lunch break? Are you coming in late? Are you leaving early? Do you really not have time? And we need to find better structures of, or systems of ways to do things throughout the day. Are the phones bogging you down? Do we need an answering service? Do we need to revamp our paperwork because it's taking patients too long to fill out, which is causing more of a scanning stack for you to get into the computer? I mean, there's all sorts of moving parts that could be, weighing down your front desk. But my advice would be to, before you go to your manager, is to really look at what you do throughout the day and see if there's a way for you to reorganize it. If you think that you are just like stretched to the limit, you've gone through your day, that there is no time in your day to do these things, then go to your manager and ask for help, because there's always a better way. There's always an easier way. There's probably redundancies throughout the day that you don't even realize you're doing. Or you're doing a little bit of everything all at the same time and you're never really getting anything done. So it could just be like, 11 to 11:30, you're going to do recalls. And from 11:30 to 12, you're going to scan in paperwork and just really have a day mapped out for yourself. That would be my advice.
That's awesome. Applying the danger formula is so key, guys. That's in management basics under the condition formula section. What Michaela's referring to is step number 5 of the danger formula is reorganize the activity so the dangerous situation doesn't continuously happen to you. Right. So you've gone through making appropriate changes, but reorganizing your day, reorganizing your tasks, reorganizing how you do certain things. It could be procedurally in the office, or it could be in something that you're doing. Sometimes we tend to major in minor things, right? And I tend to do that too, where I spend a lot of time on things that don't matter, right? And so it's important to make sure to reevaluate consistently, and then of course ask for help. But first, take responsibility and see how you can improve in that arena. Awesome. Okay, so with that being said, Michaela, I'm going to have GJ, Natasha, or Alyssa pop in because you guys mentioned that accountability script. Michaela went through a kind of a general flow of what that looks like. Let me ask someone from GJ, like Tosh, or even Alyssa there in Montrose. Either one of you guys, what does your accountability script sound like in 30 seconds or less?
Hey everybody, I don't know if Alyssa is on because I can't see her.
Alyssa's
I'm getting
there.
my broken work done right now. Okay, so accountability script is, congratulations, Ethan. We're so excited for you starting care here. I do understand that Jennifer has set out your entire care plan for you for the next 3 months. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Great.
I think so we'll work that out.
Well, I'm going to be your accountability partner. I'm sorry. Sorry, we have a little delay here. Okay. So I'm going to be your accountability partner from here on out. If you happen to miss a visit, you need to let me know as soon as you give me a call what day you're going to do as far as a makeup visit. Now, if I call you on the phone and it's me, then you better know that you missed an appointment and you better have another one in mind. Do I have your agreement that I can be your accountability partner?
Yes.
Great. Well, I'm going to hold you accountable from here on out so that you can achieve the results that you need and want.
Mhm.
Okay. And then I want to make sure that I have the right phone number for you. Is this your cell phone number?
It is.
Perfect. Is it okay to text you on this as well?
Yes.
Great. All right. Well, if you need anything from here on out, go ahead and either let myself or Connie know up at the front desk and we'll get you taken care of. Okay.
Sounds great.
All right. And then on your next visit, we're going to have a nice printed out sheet with all of your visits for the next 3 months with all of your re-exams, all your special appointments, including your massage.
Perfect.
Okay, great.
I love it. Good. So we call it the accountability script and the patient starts on day 2. We can call it the crazy ex-girlfriend script. I'm going to be your crazy ex-girlfriend. Whenever you miss your appointment, I'm going to be texting you until you come in. Right. But you know, that's a key. It's a key thing to set the stage in the beginning. I think Michaela would agree with that. Is it's the 1 to 10 question in the day 2, the commitment question in day 2. It's in your guys' day 1, day 2 training and your report of findings. Doing that 1 to 10 commitment question, which starts the idea of the level of commitment it's going to take. And then the case manager or the doctor, depending on who's finishing up that day 2, when they do a good handoff to edify the front desk, to position the front desk as the authority, which then allows the front desk to give that communication, the accountability script, and passes the authority from the doctor and case manager over into this new person, which is the front desk, who's going to be their accountability partner. So I love it. That's part of the beingness of who you are at the front desk, is being an accountability partner. Michaela, I think you would agree with all that Natasha just said, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's another reason why having consistent staff is so important, because if I'm your accountability partner and I no longer work there, who's picking up my slack?
Right.
The patient's not going to know. So having consistent staff is so important for that.
That's such a good point. I love that. Okay, let me switch gears here for a second. Also, let's move away from MUDs, accountability, compliance, but this has a big part of it too, because people, whether we know it or not, whether they know it or not, they judge us by our appearance and they judge us on how the office environment makes them feel. So some things I've seen in practices just across the country over the last couple of years even has been when you walk in a lobby or a front desk area that is less than a 5-star Ritz-Carlton feel. It's less than a professional, organized, efficient looking space. It's maybe not a 0 out of 10, but there's times where I got, there's 62 different brochures and signs and messages everywhere in the front desk area. And like I always say, when you have too many signs and posters and brochures, no one is going to read anything, right? It just looks loud, or it looks cluttery, or maybe I walk in and the front desk hasn't viewed their space from a patient's viewpoint before. And as a new patient, I walk in, or an existing patient, I can see visually all the stacks of paper. I can see all the stacks of work that has to get done. It's cluttered. There's no water, coffee, tea immediately available. The aesthetic is less than optimum, which doesn't make me feel like I want to come back on a consistent basis, versus the ones that do, right? One thing I really admire about what you guys have done is your offices aren't in an urban, dense metropolitan area. You guys, lack of a better word, you guys are kind of in the sticks a little bit too, in a way, in Spring Hill, right? It's out there a bit more, right? And you guys can get away with maybe not having a 5-star looking office, but you guys said, screw it, we're having a 10 out of 10 aesthetic Ritz-Carlton feel when people walk in of a concierge practice. When they walk in the door, it's gonna pop. Can you talk a bit about what you guys do to keep your front desk area specifically organized, clean, professional, beautiful, aesthetic, and service oriented?
You mean from like the staff perspective, like what the staff does to keep that up, or just all of it?
Yeah, what the staff do to keep it up. Let's go into that. And also just how you guys, and I might even pop up some images of your guys' offices here in a minute, but maybe you can talk about a bit what you guys do to upkeep, and then also what you've implemented over the years to create a better visual or just a better experience overall for your patients.
Yeah, so I mean, upkeep, we obviously have like a cleaning company that comes every other week to clean our office, but patients are going to track in dirt and kids are going to touch things and they're going to get sticky. So everybody, not only the front desk, but everybody that works in the office is responsible for keeping that office like in tip-top shape. If there's toilet paper out, I expect you to change it. If there's dirt on the floor, I expect you to sweep it. If there's vacuuming that needs to be done, I expect you to vacuum it. Because it can be such a turnoff for patients, and they see it and they just think it's dirty and they don't want to come back. And I'm pretty sure that the owner's wife would have a stroke if we ever got a review on Google that said that our office was dirty. So we really make sure that everything stays in tip-top shape. All of our benches get reupholstered like every 2 years because they get cracks in them from being wiped down with all the alcohol now. It dries them out. And so we have to get them reupholstered. And we've tried all of like the lotions and the conditioning treatments and all of it. It hasn't worked for us. And so every year we get them, or every 2 years we get them reupholstered, or sooner if they need it. Most of our, the girl that does our inventory, anybody that sends her anything about, I need a new, what are those organizing things for paper? I don't know what it's called right now, but every time someone requests it, she orders it. If they need binders, she orders it. I mean, we just have no limits on that because we want our front desk to be organized. We want you to know where all your paperwork is. We don't want you to have to stall in front of a patient because you can't find your paper that you need to give the patient to fill out. But everyone's responsible for making sure that office stays super clean. If it smells, we make sure we spray it down, but we constantly have essential oils running to hopefully eliminate that. I mean, people come in and they're like putting out the last puff of their cigarette as they walk through the door. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Some guy came in with a lit cigarette one time and I couldn't get the smell out for like half the afternoon. It was horrible, but it happens and you just have to roll with it and know how to combat that. But it is everyone's responsibility to maintain that office.
100%. So it's not just up to the cleaning crew to make it look good, when they come in once a week or multiple throughout the week, right? It's up to every employee. And then coffee, tea, water station. What does that look like in your office?
We haven't put it back out yet, but we do offer it. Like, would you like a cup of coffee? I can go in the back and make it for you. We just don't have it sitting out because our display for all of our like Mother's Day and Father's Day promotions right now are taking up that space. Okay. I think some of the other offices have them out. Like 2 out of the 4 offices have coffee and water right now, but we definitely we always offer it and make sure that they know it's accessible.
Perfect. Also, guys, while we're going over this topic, I'm going to move on to the next one here in just a second, but I want you to add into the chat box there other best practices you have in your practice for creating a Ritz-Carlton feel and the aesthetic visually, or what you guys do to keep it cleanly, professional, sleek, and up to par, 10 out of 10 in your office, whether it's the patient experience, something you do, or something you have established in your practice. Go to the chat box, go ahead and type that in, guys. I'd love to hear in today's mastermind what else we can all learn from each other on creating that environment, because it's important. I mean, we are creating an aesthetic and a perception of a concierge healthcare service, especially if patients are paying for cash in your office. Much of that of what they're paying for is the experience that they're getting from the smiles of your front desk staff to the feel they get when they see your office, hear your office, smell your office, as Michaela said. Also, it's all part of that experience. Feel free to type in the chat box, guys. I'd love to see what you guys have as well here. Michaela, moving on, what tips do you have? A big part of what front desks struggle with is effectively pre-scheduling appointments, right? So maybe they got the agreement from the doctor and they just are having a hard time getting patients to commit to pre-scheduling. There's a script you gave me, which is a great handle, months ago, which you have your front desk staff train on. It's a lot easier for me to schedule you now, for a certain time instead of trying to squeeze you in later.
Mhm.
So a lot of people in our community, it's a lot easier for me to get you in now for a time that can work than to try to squeeze you in later when you don't have an appointment. Can you talk about some best practices you guys have on pre-scheduling patients for their appointments and getting those care plans set up for them? And what practices and front desk staff can learn from that and how you guys do that?
Yeah, so we schedule everyone out until their first re-exam. Well, each re-exam, not just their first. Once they've completed a phase, they get scheduled out to their next phase. 95% of the time that works, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9:00. Okay, cool. I'm going to book you until the end of June, and then you'll have a reevaluation where the doctor will then, determine your treatment plan. But for, I found that like moms are the hardest to schedule for some reason, which I get it. They're at home taking care of the kids. So last week I actually ran into this, and she goes, oh yeah, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 9:45 will work because I dropped the kids off at 9:15. And I was like, okay, that's great. So 9:45 all 3 days. And I said, school gets out in 2 weeks. What are you going to do with the kids during the day? You're welcome to bring them with you, and I can keep these times for you. Or do you need a different time so you can drop them off and come here on your own? And she's like, oh my, I didn't even think about that. She's like thinking in her head, she goes, give me a minute. Let me figure out my schedule. And I said, no problem. I'll be right back in, call whoever you need to call. And I gave her like 5 minutes. I went back in and she had her whole schedule figured out. But had I not asked that question, I would have ran into that problem 2 weeks later and would have been on the phone with her for 20 minutes trying to figure that out. So again, digging deeper, asking the questions. But if patients don't want to book out, you can obviously use that same script. It's much easier for me to tentatively book your appointment than it is for me to squeeze you in last minute. So if I need to move this appointment around, it's fine because I've already accounted for it on my schedule for the day. But if you call me last minute and you need to get in because you're in pain, I don't know if I can guarantee that. Obviously we all will probably stay late for our patients, but you have to create that sense of urgency for the patient so you can then have them on the books, because much like Ethan said, your front desk is overwhelmed. They can't find makeup days. They can't call missed appointments because for whatever reason that is. But if I have them booked out already, even if they miss the last 8 appointments, at least they're not out of sight, out of mind. And now I don't call them for 6 months and they've prepaid for all of their care. That's the last thing that I want to do is have someone cancel their care and drop off and then have to refund them because we didn't do our jobs correctly. And now that patient has to suffer because we didn't do it correctly. But those would be the, 3 things that I would do with any patient who doesn't want to pre-schedule.
I love that. That's great. That's really good. And then talk about, again, because there is so much happening at the front, you have a good analogy at the front desk. If this is going to be the right position to succeed at, you have to be somebody who's like a duck, right? Like you go out on the water. So your feet have to be paddling like crazy in the bottom, right? And then you got to be gliding on top. There's a and looking graceful while you're paddling and going crazy, right? Mm-hmm. That's the analogy I use. You have one where it's like it's chaotic in your head. You got to be graceful on the outside. I can't quite remember how you communicated that, but what do you tell your CAs when it comes to managing stress and managing it outwardly, managing it effectively inwardly, and how you keep your hospitality high or communication strong with patients, mm-hmm. and in the process keeping your sanity too in a high volume office?
Yeah. So it's chaotic on the inside, or chaotic on the inside, calm on the outside. So my best advice to anybody at the front desk is to solve the quickest problem first. Like, what is the quickest problem that you can resolve in like the next 5 minutes? Is it moving a patient to another room? Is it putting somebody on therapy? Is it answering the phone? Is it dealing with the person in front of you? I find that all the time where the front desk is very overwhelmed with, I have a person in front of me and then I also have the phone ringing. And I don't want to miss the opportunity to possibly schedule a new patient, but I also have an existing patient in front of me. Who do I prioritize first? I think that if someone calls and you check that patient out and they're walking out the door, just go to your missed calls on your phone and hit redial. And like, I'm so sorry, this is Michaela with Family Chiropractic. I saw you called. I didn't get a chance to listen to your message, but I just wanted to call you back quickly to see if there was anything I could help with. And I mean, 9 times out of 10 people answer, they just called you. That, or if you have a text messaging system, to text them later on. So I just tell my front desk, like, don't stress out about what of all the moving parts that are in front of you. If you feel like you're going to miss something, make a sticky note, write it down. And when we get a break or when it slows down a little bit, I'll come help you knock out your list. And then we kind of, I feel like once you do something a million times, you get much better at multitasking. So if I sit down and I slow down the process for my front desk so they can really master it and then do it again on their own in the middle of the chaos, they handle it much better and they're less stressed. So I mean, chew off one bite at a time. Eat the frog, eat a bite of the frog, not the whole frog, just a little bit at a time.
That's right. That's so key. And something you said too, which I think everyone can take note of, is a lot of times stress doesn't come from all the things you have to do, but it comes from being incomplete on so many things.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in the middle of 1,000 tasks, you get overwhelmed because there's just so much to do. Or if you have a bunch of things that are happening all at once and you're already backlogged, then stress gets really get overwhelming sometimes, versus completing cycles of action, completing the task in front of you. What's the next problem I can solve? What's the next thing I can move forward with that is going to solve a confusion that's in front of you? It's from that old chapter, Manager Basics, that it's your job, right? If it solves a problem that's in front of you, if it lessens confusion, especially when it comes to a patient. So I would second that 100%. I think Tosh is going to come in hot and heavy here. Jump on in, Tosh. Well, she was. I think there's some volume stuff there going on. Okay, fine. You want to jump in, Tosh? You good? Okay, good. All right, awesome, perfect. I love it. Well, good. So I think that's a great piece of advice. And then last thing, I'll ask you too, Michaela. How do you? What do you guys do in your office when it comes to specific problem patients that are giving the front desk a hard time, not scheduling, really just not compliant with the program? They beat to their own drum, and they're just, the front desk is having a heck of a time with them. What advice would you give a front desk person for that? And then how would you even handle those patients, which are usually a minority of your patients, like
Right.
that. But the ones that are can tend to stick the attention of most front desk staff for the rest of the day, right?
Mhm.
The ones that can be a bit rude or they're just not compliant. And then the front desk tends to, that one person, that's all they're thinking of the rest of the day, and it throws off their entire tone level, goes off their entire day. What advice do you have for those patients or for those front desk staff that encounter those patients?
I really think, I just saw this comment in the chat box. It says, give them the number to the Cairo town or the Cairo down the road.
That's right. Send them to the joint.
Yeah. No. So if we have problem patients in terms of scheduling, that do not want to schedule, I keep a mental queue of those people and I make it extremely difficult for them to schedule when they want to get in on my schedule last minute and they want me to make all these exceptions for them. I give it about 3 times. If I have done a favor for you 3 times, I've made my doctor stay late, I've had my staff stay late, I've squeezed you in when we're already overbooked. And then and I tell you every single time, like, I need you to give me more of a notice because this is, we were able to make it work today. I can't guarantee that next time. And if they still are persistent at calling last minute to get in, I will make it very difficult for them to schedule again. I'll be like, I'm sorry, I can't fit you in until tomorrow. And I mean, 9 times out of 10, they schedule, but they start to catch on that it's important you give us a heads up, because just because you think that you don't need a lot of time with the doctor because you don't have a lot going on, you might not know that how many patients do you have come in that have underlying issues that they were not aware about until you took x-rays or until you did their exam or till you dug deeper? So yeah, you might have just fallen off a horse yesterday and now you need to get in right away. And you think that it's only going to be a 15-minute appointment. I have news for you. The doctor is going to make sure that it's very thorough when he's treating you and that we treat you properly. So I need more than 15 minutes. I don't have any of that time until tomorrow. And I kind of make it difficult for them to schedule within reason, always polite, make sure that you talk to your manager about this before doing that. But I think that they would all agree that it does cause hiccups in your day And if you've already done your huddle, you've prepped for your day, and then you've got Joe coming in who, just got hit by a car and wants to come in last minute for a 15-minute adjustment, that's not going to fly. But yes, like they said, set the tone and keep it. So make sure that your patients know your standards from the very beginning, and hold them accountable to that.
It's a team effort, right? Because if the
Mhm.
doctor's doing it from the beginning, the front desk has got to just follow through on those agreements and hold that patient accountable to it. I love it. Michaela, I know your time is valuable and I want to respect it. What would you tell, last piece of advice, final words for all the office managers, CAs, even non-front desk staff, maybe they're rehab techs or they have other positions in the office that they're interfacing with patients?
Mhm.
What would be your final words on patient compliance and being successful in patient compliance, and getting high patient retention and commitment from your patients? What will be your final words to staff and people that are all interfacing with patients at the
Mhm.
front and the back or anywhere in between? Final words of wisdom.
I think that I would have to say that you have to know your purpose and be dedicated to it. I think that's the only way you become compliant and successful in any position, especially this one. If you don't know why you're going to work every day, and you're not committed to it, your patients are going to feel that. They're not going to respect you for what you're trying to tell them to do. You have to be so passionate about what you're doing, and you have to remember that you are changing people's lives. I think we get run down with, our normal day-to-day patients. And then you have one patient come in who just like warms your soul. And you're like, this is why I do this. This is why I wake up every morning at 5 a.m. and I don't get home till 7. And this is why I do this. So I think you just have to know your purpose and be committed to it.
So awesome.
Mhm.
Kayla, you're a gem. We're very lucky to have you part of this family.
Thank you.
And I
Thank
just want to
you.
say thank you guys. Thank you, Michaela, for taking time. We could keep this conversation going for 2 or 3 hours, I'm sure, but I know everyone's time is very valuable. And I know I want to say I thank everybody here for attending and being a part of this training. And Michaela, you knocked out of the park, and we'll see you at other seminars and that kind of stuff here in the future with your team, right?
Yes. Yep.
Awesome, guys. If there's one added value as to why to come to Clearwater, Florida, to come to our next seminar happening in June or July or in August, is because you're pretty much going to find the vast majority of the time Michaela, Dr. Brian, and her team are going to be there for most of those seminars. And she's just an open book and willing to help anybody. So, Michaela, thank you again for your time. I appreciate it. You're awesome.
Thanks for having
And
me.
I look forward to having you on another virtual mentorship session in the future.
Yes. Can't
Awesome.
wait.
Thank you so much, Michaela. Awesome, guys. Well, don't forget, we are here every Tuesday, 12 o'clock Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern. I'll be hosting a bonus May virtual mentorship session for next week, covering your organizing board and helping wrap that up, getting it implemented and applying it to your team and your practice. Michaela, how important has your guys' organizing board been for your whole block of satellites and all your offices? Oh, you went on mute. Sorry.
Yeah, it's been a game changer for us. We're always improving it, but it's been a game changer. It tells everybody, who's in charge of what department they fall into, what their valuable final product is. It just really creates better communication within all the offices.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, I'll be helping you guys out next week, implementing that in your practice. And then otherwise, we will be here in Clearwater, Florida next month, June 9th and 10th, for our communication closing seminar part B. That's going to be June 9th and 10th, Thursday and Friday. And then our workshop will be June 24th and the 25th, 7th Division. We'll look forward to seeing all you guys that are part of our 7th Division Mastermind, June 23rd and 25th through 25th. And then that Thursday, for all those 7th Division members, we're going to be hosting a mastermind at Dr. Brian, her doctor's beach house here in up in our Hernando Beach, which will be a lot of fun. So if you haven't booked your flights yet, please make sure to book those. Talk to Cindy about booking your time at our next upcoming event and or attend live stream with your team for June, July, and August. As always, love you guys. Thanks for joining us this week, and I'll see you guys next week for another virtual mentorship session. Take care. Thanks, Michaela.